I have to warn you before watching this video that this will change your life in a negative way. This knowledge is necessary and important to know, but it will be difficult when you understand the content and what it means to you and your loved ones. One of the earliest and strangest memories I have that was brought to my attention, is about a dream I had as a child. I must have been around 3 years old. With the knowledge I have today, I am horrified. Earlier, I could have said something like that it was just a dream, but now I cannot. The dream is about me, as a child, naked in a room in front of an altar, with lit candles around the room. In the dream, I am with my mother, who is also naked, and I am eating my mother's excrement. Long story short, we as humans have nothing to do with the dreams or experiences we have in our lives, and at this time I cannot tell you what exactly dreams are, but I can tell you that someone else is responsible for you having them. I will tell you of a few more experiences I had while growing up. One night, when I was about 7 years old, I was lying in my bed trying to sleep, looking out my window from the bed I was lying in. All I remember is me blinking my eyes like normal, just one blink, and it was bright and early in the morning. I was shocked and amazed at what had happened, slowly rising from my bed. I ran to my mother, and tried to tell her about what had happened, but she didn't pay me any attention, obviously thinking of it as nonsense. Later on, in my early teens, I had another experience in the evening, while trying to sleep. I did not realize it then, but it was something that happened in our reality, meaning in the physical, for lack of a better explanation. In my sleep state, I could feel a woman suddenly sitting on top of me. She was trying to sleep with me, but I resisted with everything I had. I felt very strange, and even though I resisted with everything I had, I was not strong enough. As it seemed that she would get her way with me, the woman completely disappeared, and I woke up drained of my energy. I remember thinking something like how I thought I would have loved to have sex with a woman, but also how it was important to me who she was. I didn't know what to think of this experience, but in this experience, I could not see anything, only feel what was happening. I would go on to have many more experiences like this in the future, where I could not see what was happening, but only feel it. It is hard for you to understand, but these beings respond to what you accept as thoughts that they are responsible for transmitting to you in your mind, and take advantage of your beliefs because of it. The most memorable, and the most deciding dream experience I had was when I was 15 years old, just before I started attending high school. In this dream, I knew absolutely everything in existence. There was no knowledge I didn't have. I still recognize that feeling of knowing everything today, even though I do not know everything, I had the feeling of knowing everything. The dream ended with a church organ, and a figure of my father standing in front of it, on the right side, facing me. Somehow I knew that this figure of my father on the right side of the organ represented God. I was forever changed by the experience. I felt completely different from that day on. There is a reason for me to tell you of these experiences of mine. They chose me from before my birth for certain things, and somewhere along the way, they made mistakes, and only learned of it when it was too late. I will tell you how this happened. Things changed completely when I went to the army to fulfill my mandatory service. I will give you a short version, with just enough details to hopefully help you understand exactly what I wish to convey. When I got into the army, because of my interest in the supernatural, I started to experience paranormal things in the night. I had started considering different kinds of material, like movies, series, literature etc., and because of this, I was having problems sleeping. The other soldiers were also noticing that I had something that looked similar to nightmares. In all of this, I was learning about beings like angels and demons, and where they come from. I'm pretty sure that this was arranged by the higher beings. These experiences got worse and worse the more I delved into these things. When I finally became a religious person, becoming a Christian, things became a lot better for me, and my troubles seemingly went away quickly. It's difficult to explain, but I became a lot better at a lot of things, and very quickly. I was suddenly able to absorb information like never before, my speaking ability improved, I was also getting new information from seemingly nowhere. I will talk more about this in a future video. I became a devout religious person who did my best to become perfect, meaning the best I could possibly be, constantly. In the process I studied religious texts and grew as a person. I did my best, and went as far as I could. And the results were incredible. On April 7, 2018, in the middle of the night, I suddenly woke up, and I was not the same anymore. I had an amazing and powerful bodily experience. It lasted for several minutes, and I now have a powerful, and seemingly unlimited spirit because of this experience. Almost immediately after, I was communicating with who I believe to be Jesus Christ. What I believed to be a great experience from God, was actually a catastrophic result for them. I was overjoyed and excited, thinking this was the beginning of something extraordinary. But little did I know how this was the beginning of a very painful journey. It seems that in the transition of trying to communicate with me, or their preparation of me, I was exposed to something they had, and it changed my being entirely. They had no idea of what happened to me, and I suspect that they were terrified. To this day, I can only think of two possibilities of what happened that night. I will present them at the end of the video. They kept communicating with me, to figure out how much I was capable of, so to see if I was independent, or if I still relied on them to do things on my own. I never suspected anything in the beginning, but they gave me some clues, and I did think it was suspicious, but I didn't understand what they were doing until they revealed it to me much later. I believed in them completely, and over time, because I was not independent like they thought I was. They took advantage of my good faith, took all of my money, and made sure I was hospitalized in the end, so that they could find a way to kill me, while it looked like I killed myself from having mental issues. They are not who they claim to be, and they have deceived all of humanity. One day, because of my origin being African, they started calling me the N-word. And then they went on showing me things in my mind that implied that they intentionally destroyed all of Africa on purpose, so that the other nations could have its resources, and have black people be taken advantage of in certain ways. Eventually I ended up in the hospital where they attempted many extremely evil things that I will not reveal for a long time. Once I was hospitalized they started hurting me in ways I cannot explain properly. They operate from higher dimensions, not accessible to us. I don't believe they intended for me to get out, because of the things I experienced in the hospital. I believe they wanted me locked up there for a long time, for experimentation and worse, depending on my responses. Because their deception and strategies didn't work on me, I understood that they just wanted to harm me. I stopped listening to them, and the hospital released me very quickly because of it. But because of my spirit and energy, and what I am capable of, they have taken over my body, and sealed my spirit. I cannot function like a normal person, but you who cannot see my spirit, and are not able to tell at all, even though I am walking among you, like a normal person. Think of me as a puppet. They literally maneuver me, and help me write these things with my consent. I am able to resist, and to a certain extent path my way around. When I say consent, I really do mean consent. They seem to have rules attached to dealing with humanity. They try to manipulate you into doing things willingly. I don't know why they do it like that, but this is what they constantly have done to me. They are capable of doing things to you, and they do break their own rules, but they have never forced me to do anything, if that is of interest to any of you. They have deceived me, and harmed me both mentally and physically, but these strange beings do not seem to enjoy anything other than manipulation. I believe that is what they enjoy the most in dealing with us.
You've had a rough year. You've had a year that would test a lot of people. Illness in the family. A breakup. This spasm of publicity about what happened from Mexico to London.
It was pretty rough, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Ah, weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strong Brittany. Yeah, it was a weird time. Ew. I'm embarrassed. Can we stop this?
I am like Brittany in this clip, which I will link to in the description. They are able to make me look crazy like this if they want to. I don't know if Brittany realizes what this is, or if she still to this day is tormented like this. But I finally understand this, and similar phenomena like Tourette's syndrome. After being in the hospital, I realized that the people in the psychiatric treatment had psychological problems caused by these beings. Terms like crazy people simply do not exist. There will always be cause and effect, and the cause of these effects are higher dimensional beings filling people with poisonous and destructive thoughts, not limited to physical trauma. They have convinced us as beings that we are thinking these things on our own, and that our physical ailments are normal, making us look responsible. When all of these things happened to me, I didn't even realize that they were the ones doing these things. They can manipulate and interfere with our functions, and unless we are experienced enough with discernment, or they allow you, or enable you to realize it, you have no chance of understanding what is happening to you. It looks, and feels like we are the ones engaging with each other, but we are not. When people trip on the pavement outside on the roads, they would think that they have been careless. When accidents happen, we believe that this is the cause of some neglect etc., but this is not the case. It is because these beings are playing games with us. They manipulate and orchestrate all sorts of unimaginable things onto us. They are responsible for a lot of physical discomfort. Obviously we are able to sustain injuries on our own, and get sick by being exposed to different temperatures etc. because of how our bodies work. But these beings have harmed me in invisible ways, to let me know that they are hurting me on purpose. Suddenly my body would feel pain, or discomfort on my insides, legs, different kinds of itches, and sharp pains as if someone were to stab me. When I was hospitalized, they just suddenly decided to disable my back. I just could not move, and it was painful if I tried. My back was not in pain, but if I tried to move my back, I would feel pain. Eventually my boss at work called an ambulance for me, and they took me away. Eventually, when they understood that they couldn't break me, they kept on doing a lot of painful things to me. And in this process, I eventually learned things about the processes used for controlling us. Things like thoughts, feelings, movement etc. There was also a suspicious man that came to me as a nurse during my stay in the hospital. Only later on was I led to believe that he was one of these higher dimensional beings who had descended to meet with me. There might have been more than this one man, I believe there were more, but I don't have any way of confirming this. He just looked different, and his behavior was not normal. I don't know what he wanted, but we did some odd stuff together. Now that I look back on it, it just disturbs me. The hospital where I was staying also felt different than anything I have ever experienced. I remember thinking if the hospital was even real. I believe they were manipulating dimensions the whole time I was there to deceive me and do actions harmful to myself.